Chapter 14. The day takes a turn for the worst. Stoic never finished the word invincible, because halfway through he was grabbed around the neck by an enormous, wild-eyed individual, and a not very clean knife was held to his neck. So the word ended up more like Invincible! Invincible! As Stoic choked and his eyes popped. All around the rowing benches, every hooligan aboard had been grabbed from behind, and knives were held at every throat. The hooligans' nerves were still jangled from the fight from the scallions, and they had been so busy arguing that they hadn't spotted a small, sleek boat sneaking up through the midst and drawing alongside the Lucky 13. A boat named the Hammerhead, with a sail curved like a shark's fin and a red skull and crossbones painted on the side. A boat packed to the brim with outcasts. They were not a pretty crew, despite their height, and their handsome red hair, and their gorgeous clothes, and every kind of gaudy ornament. Many had scars carved in their faces. One or two were without a nose or an ear. Most had filed their teeth into sharp little points, like the teeth of a shark. Even the good-looking ones were disfigured by dark red tattoos, said to be made out of the blood of their enemies. They talked to each other in the most difficult of Viking languages, Outcasti, which sounds much like the barking of a dog. The outcast had swarmed over the side and crept up behind the hooligans as they were admiring the treasure and themselves. Toothless had smelt them, of course. He knew they were coming, had been going crazy inside the big, heavy barrel, shrieking at the top of his voice, "Outcast! Run for your lives! You so stupid! You humans!" But nobody had heard him. All in all, this was turning into a very bad day for the hooligans. Outcasts, like scullions, are the kind of creature one really hopes one can live a lifetime without bumping into, let alone seeing both of them at close quarters in the space of one morning. Hiccup did not realize they were outcasts, but he knew they were in trouble. His heart started jumping in his chest like a mud skipper as he looked into the terrible face of the man who had Stoic the Vast by the throat. His curly horns were quite 3 feet high. When he opened his mouth, he growled like a dog. For a whole minute, nobody said a word. This is Outcastanese, and it translates roughly as, "Got him! What do we do here now, Chief?" Nobody dared move a muscle. There was no noise at all except for the terrible dog-like growling from the outcast who was holding Stoic, and the sound of Alvin drinking. There was no knife at Alvin's throat. Calmly, he finished off the last delicious drops of black currant wine. Smoothly, he put down the cup. "I thought that I would provide a surprise ending to our little journey," said Alvin with his charming smile. "I do like surprises. Don't you, my dear Stoic?" Stoic goggled inarticulately. "Some such fun, aren't they?" continued Alvin. "I am so sorry to say, however, that the day of glory for the hooligan tribe may be, put off for a while. You see, I feel that I ought to have rather more of the treasure than a mere 10%. And in case you didn't agree, I thought I would bring along some of my relatives too. Persuade you to give it up." Stoic gargled again. Alvin barked out a few words in outcasterese to Curlyhorns, who barked back at him. "I have to admit at this point that I have been guilty of a little innocent deception," said Alvin. "My name is not Alvin, the poor but honest farmer. I am, in fact, his most mighty, murderous Alvin the Treacherous, great high chieftain to the outcast tribe." I don't know why, but I felt that if I had told you this from the beginning, you might not have given me a very warm welcome. An outcast? gasped the hooligans. Alvin laughed. That's right, he said. An outcast. Us outcasts don't always go around on all fours dressed in animal skins, you know. Even we are moving with the times. He went over to Stoic and gently removed the Stormblade from Stoic's hand.